not speeches, sharp, important questions of substance, if you can. And if I have to run up and down the stairs with a microphone, I will, unless we've got another one. Or you can shout at us. Who would like to start? If you want to address your question to one of our great speakers, do. If you just want to ask a general question, ask a general question. Someone has a question. Tell us who you are.
My name's Cllr. I work for Ernst & Young.
We're going to bring the mic to you so we can hear you.
My name's Cllr. I work for Ernst & Young. As someone who's come from school straight into work and not gone to university, a lot of what's been talked about today is really focusing on businesses and schools connecting to students. But from my experience, I get a lot of questions that start with, well, my mum said this or my dad said this about particular careers and what paths they should take. So do you think we're targeting parents enough, or should we be looking at doing that as well as the students?
Who would like to take the role of parents and the way parents?
I'm happy to take that to begin with. The role of parents is extremely...
That's going to keep you fit.
We're going to get very...
Yeah, that's right. There is another microphone, I think.
The role of parents is incredibly important. I mean, my kids are leaving school, going to university, doing what they're doing now, and it's completely different to when I was at school. The Careers and Enterprise Company view parents as an incredibly important stakeholder. We will be coming out a way of trying to reach parents and trying to allow them to think about the fact that everything has changed so much since when they were at school, because we know that they are a very, very strong influence in that.
Will that which you'll say you're going to do help the teachers to handle the parents, as it were, or work with them, or coordinate? Because that's a big part of it, isn't it?
Well, we know that 82% of teachers say that they want more information about the local labour market, about careers, education and enterprise guidance. I don't know what way of saying that, but you know what I mean. So we know that teachers want more information, and we are absolutely working with the local area to try and make sure that the teachers understand what's happening locally for them.
Yes.
You want to say something?
I was going to say the issue I had is my mum didn't understand what I wanted, so she was having to find someone who could explain it to her, and I don't want other parents to kind of suffer the same way.
You're absolutely right.
So I would just want to say that a lot of our schools are starting to invite us to come in and talk about events for parents specifically. So one of the things we started doing with CAP, was that at all the post-16 options evenings, so when kids are thinking, what am I going to do after my GCSEs, we make sure we have apprenticeship providers there alongside the sixth form colleges, so that so they're actual employers as well, who are talking about the pathways into work. And those events are specifically for students and their parents. But we know we need to do more of it, because parents can be a big brake on students' decisions.
Another question. Have we got another one? Good night. Mike is coming.
Simon Fairwell from Living Sport. My question is around what role you see sport, community groups, volunteering. Maybe I'm answering a question from the workshop that's going to come, but it's what role you see those organisations and those opportunities playing in supporting the development of young people in their career opportunities in the future.
Anyone like that one in particular?
I think that's very important. I think in terms of motivating people, you need to give people an idea of actually pushing themselves, and part of that is sport related, as well as also, it's another form of skill. It's also about teamwork. Teamwork's also all about work, and I think it's vastly important that, when you're thinking about young people, it's not just about what you're educating somebody in terms of learning a new skill, but the skills also that relate to physicality, relate to actually the way that you communicate with people, and actually the way that a team is built within an organisation also comes from those skills that come through from sports. I think it's vastly important that this is actually integrated into it, and not enough is done on that, and I totally agree with you on that, Simon.
There is a young man present who I've known for many years who's dedicating his life to this issue, and he's sitting up the back there, and he's going to, if you haven't heard from him this afternoon and his wonderful company, then you should talk to him after this. John, you've got something to say about this.
John Willis, Power to Inspire. We encourage disabled people and non-disabled people to do sport together. We go into schools and get disabled and non-disabled pupils to play adaptive sports together, and it's proving inspirational, and it breaks down all sorts of barriers. So do come and talk to me if you're interested about Powerhouse Games. I think the opportunity of sport to break down barriers is absolutely essential. It creates confidence and also creates a whole raft of new job opportunities. So again, come and talk to me, please. Thank you.
Yeah, do come and talk to him. He's threatening to do every Olympic sport before the Olympics. And he's got a video coming out soon that you should all look out for, because it will be phenomenal. I've had a preview. Another question? Must be yes, lady. Let's throw it over to them. Now we do, they need the mic, they want to hear you. It's important. Tell us who you are.
Hi there, Nikki Hughes from University of Cambridge Museums. We've heard an awful lot about industry and business, but do you think there's much of a movement towards apprenticeships, traineeships and that type of field in the heritage industry and arts, for which I'm dealing with a lot of people who want to go into that sector and probably are struggling to? At the moment we do apprenticeships, but they're actually quite rare to find the appropriate bodies that support the right course setup or the right modules. So do you see an improvement in that in the future?
Now, would you take that?
Hi there. I'm speaking as a historian myself. I'm very interested in this arena. And what I will say though is that the government's, I'm trying not to bore you too much with government policy, but the government has moved to a new style of apprenticeships called trailblazers. And what that effectively means is that groups of businesses or groups of employers can come together to actually create an apprenticeship that's right for their sector or industry. So, the answer to the question, there is apprenticeships out there in your sector already, but to create a powerful new model that moves forward, the sector needs to come together around it, or the local sector needs to come around it to actually help design and build those. And there's people here today, I know Karen Kelly's here from the Skills Funding Agency, we're very happy to talk to you about how you do that and how you access that.
Can I just add to that, one of the things I heard as well in your question was that you were afraid the right candidates weren't coming forward for these apprenticeships. And one of the things I think is so interesting about the apprenticeships in the museums or the arts and cultural sector are that it's a great opportunity to broaden your workforce and the diversity of your workforce. And the apprenticeship route should be a really, really attractive way in. They don't have to take the risk of going off and doing a fine arts degree or an art history degree and then wonder about their chances of getting employment down the line. We think that's fantastic, and we think the sooner we can get into the schools, from early on, year 5 onwards, and start showing them what it's like to be a curator, what it's like to work in the arts, what it's like to work in heritage, the more that option will, speak to them when they're 16, 17, 18, and looking for the next opportunity. So, Nikki, we're very happy that you're here, and we look forward to working with you.
It's not just about young people as well. I know this is probably young people's event, but there's plenty of apprentices in all age groups, all the way through, doing these sorts of things. And speaking as someone whose dream job is working in English heritage, who's never done it, I want to talk to you about apprenticeship. I think that'd be quite interesting.
Yes, you touched a very important issue close to our hearts, because some of us that came out of the technology and science area really do want to see how we can combine much more closely technology and art and history. And we are doing, this is a wonderful place to do it. And there's one amazing project that we're doing through a new charity, the Cambridge Rare Diseases Network, We've got an art competition for children who suffer from rare diseases, and great artists are now painting pictures of children with rare diseases. So the power and beauty of art is being brought to bear on a horrible area of disease, and we've all got to work harder here to connect these things up, and technology is probably a very good way that we can use to make it happen. Another question?
Liz Walker, Long Road, Sixth Form College. Do you think there's a role for the traditional careers advisor in schools, colleges and...
I think absolutely, because all this talk about employer engagement, work visits, work experience is fantastic, but it doesn't happen in isolation. It needs to be linked really closely to the traditional careers advisor in school. It needs to be a partnership approach. And I think that the things that the signposted skills and with the enterprise advisors, the enterprise coordinators, will be building a program around that. But it is not something that comes and gets done to a school. It has to be done with not just the careers advisor, but also the leadership team, the subject leads, and everyone else.
Time for just one more. One more. Lady with a hand here. Tell us who you are.
Hello, I'm Danielle from a charity called the UTC Cambridge. My question is kind of reflecting on what you mentioned about sort of the skills course in the area and the amount of research that's been done into businesses in this area. Of course, there's so much information we have about what Cambridge needs, but I'm interested to know if there's been much investment or much research into what our students actually want. So, what skills they need, what skills they don't think they have, or they don't feel they actually get enough of in the curriculum, or what jobs they specifically want, so that businesses such as those here today can actually take that information on board and say, okay, we know a lot of people's want experience in IT, and we might be a law firm, but we can find a job for them where they might be able to do some sort of IT-based skills and learning. Is there much research in this area around that?
That's a deep one, isn't it?
Well, I mean, where I would start is the other side of the equation is that Greater Cambridge has 48,000 people currently employed in research and innovation in the private sector, 24,000 in the university, the hospitals, the public sector. So the nature of the local opportunities, the exciting opportunities, is a whole panoply of research. In terms of what students want, I think certainly from me, we haven't, as a city deal, had a proper look, and leave me your email and we'll get back to you. I think we obviously need, I mean, the knowledge is there partly within parents and teachers, and having two teenagers, their mood swings, so there isn't necessarily a fixed path. But I think there's definitely I would just without any scientific knowledge say that I think teenagers today have a clearer path in a way that the generation I come from, and so I think if we just fit into looking at the disciplines in the sixth form and then analyse, and also the GCSE year, and just analyse what is it that they think they want, but that may not be what they later want.
I just had one thing, the amazing networks around Cambridge, the availability of people. It can't all be formalised, it can't all be structured. It's the informal ecosystem where I get 10 calls a day from people who say, hey, somebody told me I should talk to you about this and this is what I want. And I might not be able to answer that, but if they're worthy people, I'll pass them on to someone who does. So I think if we all connect better and more strongly, we can do more than formal things might do. And that's the great thing about Cambridge. Everyone's working to help the other and help the community. So we've had a great session, we've got to end it now.